So I, 32F, have been married to Mark, 35M, for 5 years, together for 7. Mark is autistic, officially diagnosed in adulthood when we met and fell in love. I knew there'd be challenges like social misunderstandings, routines, etc. And I've tried really hard to be a supportive partner. I've learned a lot about autism, joined online support groups, and worked on my communication to match his needs. But things have changed over the years, and I'm now questioning everything. Lately Mark has been making frequent comments about my appearance. Things like "you looked thinner before you started that new job," or "babe, you should work out and drop some weight." At first, I chalked it up to him being blunt, but then it got more personal. He'd say things like, "I'm not as attracted to you when you gain weight," or "other women your age seem to care more about how they look." Whenever I brought this up, he'd always say, "I'm autistic, I just say what I think. I don't do fake compliments." Or, "You're trying to police how I communicate, that's ableist." It wasn't just comments though. As he started exploding over small things like plans changing, or me being too emotional during arguments because of the things he kept saying that made me insecure. One time I cried after he criticized my body in front of his friends, and he told me I was being overdramatic again. Any time I asked for some accountability, it became about his autism. "I don't regulate emotions like you do," or "you're expecting neurotypical behavior, and that's unfair." But then I noticed something strange. He was perfectly polite and even charming at work events or around certain friends. He could control his tone and avoid saying inappropriate things when it mattered. When I pointed this out, he claimed he was masking and couldn't keep it up at home. Fair. But the more I looked at it, the more it seemed like he wasn't struggling, he just didn't care how I felt. So I left him last month after a particularly cruel comment about my body. Something he later told our mutual friends but changed it up to make himself look better. But since I don't have any proof to deny what he said, my mutual friends believe that I left a disabled man for being disabled. That I couldn't handle the realities of autism. But I honestly feel like he was using his diagnosis as a shield against basic respect. Comment 1. Your instincts and beliefs are spot on. You left an abusive man who just happens to be autistic. NTA. Comment 2. Just because he has a disability does not mean he can't be in a hole. I've worked with autistic people for nearly 20 years and I can easily assure you that this is not how autism works. He's definitely weaponizing his disability. Good for you for refusing to put up with it anymore. Story 2. Telling my wife's stepdad our newborn son isn't calling him father. My, 27M, wife's, 27F, father passed away when she was 9 and her mom remarried to her stepdad when she was 15. My wife and her stepdad have always butted heads because he oversteps and has tried to force himself as a father figure in her life. When my wife's mom married him, they both made it very clear that he was never going to be her dad and he basically had no control over her, and he has reluctantly accepted that over the years. Fast forward to today, my wife gave birth to our son a week ago. He is the first grandbaby on both sides, so all the grandparents are trying to figure out what they want to be called. My wife's stepdad's name is David and wants our son to call him Avi, which means father in Hebrew. My wife and I are uncomfortable with our son calling him this, so we asked him if there was another name he could go by, and he made a fuss that he intentionally didn't want to be called grandpa because my wife has made a point in the past that his actual grandpa is no longer with us. But now he's complaining that we aren't going to be happy with any name he wants to go by. Comment 1. NTA. He shouldn't be called Avi no matter what, because he isn't the father. You are. It doesn't sound like grandpa would be appropriate, either, even if he wanted it. Your wife doesn't see him as a father. Tell him that unless he stops being obstinate and picks a different name you all agree on, the baby is going to be calling him David. Comment 2. NTA. There are other names he can choose that aren't terms that mean grandfather or grandpa etc. without using a term that means father. Story 3. Telling my dad what his wife did even though now she left and my little brother won't talk to me. I, 16M, live with my dad, 38M, and my little brother, 10M. Our mom died when I was 11. Cancer. I remember everything. My brother barely does. For a long time after she died, her stuff just stayed where it was. Her mug stayed in the cupboard. Her slippers beside the bed. Family photos everywhere. It felt like she was still around in some way. Then Katie, 29F, started coming around. It was slow at first, just helping out with stuff. Then one day she was living here. Then she married my dad. No one really asked how I felt about any of it. My brother got obsessed with her from the start. Straight up started calling her mom without even thinking about it. They play Switch together, build Lego sets she buys for him randomly, and she takes him everywhere. She calls him her boy and tells everyone how close they are. I'm not even mad that he likes her, but sometimes it feels like he's forgotten mom completely. And it pisses me off how easy that seems to be for him. Like I'm the only one who cares anymore. Then stuff started disappearing. First little things. Mom's mug and slippers. Then the framed picture of us on the beach we took when I was 10 that used to sit by the stairs. One day I realized there wasn't a single picture of her left in the living room. Then she changed everything in the house that my mom bought, furniture, even repainted the whole house to colors she likes. She just started putting up more of herself everywhere. Like slowly replacing my mom. About a year ago, my dad went out of town for work. Katie had some friends over. They brought wine and got drunk. I stayed to keep an eye on my little brother that was in the house and hanging around them. Then they started making weird comments. Stuff like, "You've got a hot stepmom, that's gotta be weird for a teenage boy," and Betty walks in on stuff. Katie told them to knock it off, but they laughed her off and kept going. I felt gross. Later she came to my door and apologized, but also told me I need to learn to loosen up. Like I was the one making it awkward. 3 days ago my brother had a school project to make a family timeline. I got home and saw it on the table. It was all pictures of him and Katie, a few of me and my dad, but nothing of mom. Not even a mention. I asked him why and he said Katie told him to keep it focused on happy stuff and who's here now. I told my dad that night. Just said I thought it was messed up. That it felt like Katie was trying to erase mom. He said he'd talk to her. Next morning, Katie packed a bag and left. Said she needed space and she's staying at her sister's house for a while. She hugged my brother and left without saying anything to me. Now my brother won't talk to me because I always try to ruin stuff. Maybe I do. But I don't want to forget my mom just because Katie wants to pretend she was never here. Comment 1, NTA. Katie doesn't sound like a good person, neither do her friends either. Comment 2. NTA. Katie didn't leave because of you, she left because something was already broken, and being called out just revealed it. A strong partner doesn't walk away over one honest comment. You stood up for your mom's memory when no one else would. Your brother's upset, but that doesn't make you wrong. You told the truth, and that matters. Story 4, exposing my sister's financial manipulation of our elderly mom, even though it blew up the family. My mom, 72, is in the early stages of dementia. She's still mostly clear-headed but has some confusion, especially when it comes to money. My younger sister Chloe, 45, has always had a history of asking for financial help. Over the past few years, I noticed mom was constantly lending Chloe money for things like car repairs, rent, or medical bills. Chloe always promised to pay her back, but she never did. Meanwhile, Chloe's social media told a very different story. Fancy trips, new gadgets, designer stuff. All while mom was suddenly being super frugal. She even stopped buying things she used to enjoy. It didn't sit right with me. Mom asked me to help her look at her bank statements because she was confused. With her permission, I started going through them and what I found made my stomach drop. Chloe had been taking large amounts of money for years, way more than what she claimed she needed. It wasn't help anymore, it was financial abuse. I confronted Chloe, showed her the evidence, and she flipped. Accused me of being jealous, trying to control mom, etc. I gathered everything and showed our other siblings and mom's financial advisor. It was brutal, but the truth was undeniable. Now Chloe's been cut off, and most of the family has distanced themselves from her. She's livid, saying I destroyed her life and tore the family apart. Mom's heartbroken by the conflict, which absolutely kills me. Some relatives think I should have handled it quietly or just let it go for the sake of Mom's peace. Comment 1. NTA. Taking advantage of someone, especially someone in the early stages of dementia, is abhorrent. She needed to be exposed, and if it were me, prosecuted. Comment 2. NTA. You protected your mother, which is the right thing to do. You are not the thief, you are not the one who caused the family rift. The thief is the one who did that.